If only I had spidey senses, so I can tell when something's wrong. Oh, and I've been sent to protect this heart from breaking into pieces. Where's my hammer? Where's the shield? Oh, the strength to carry the weight of the world. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall. Fly high into the sky. I'll catch you if you fall. I'll catch you if you fall.
Now, here's your host, DJ Host with the Most.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Snap Decisions. I am your host with the most, your Snap DJ, and here to talk about another week in the game in Marvel Snap, and of course a lot of other things going on as well in the pod. So let's get down to it here, and we'll look to see what today's agenda is going to be. We are going to start out today with something a little different on the spin, but we're going to do the beginning of it's going to be on the pod for the next bunch of weeks in a row, but I'm going to do a best and worst list of cards. So I've started off with the bad, then we'll work our way to the good, and we're going to go each cost. So one per week, and we're going to go each cost. So we're going to start off with the one cost bad cards, the worst cards, and then we'll go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is going to take a while. But which is good, because sometimes, we're on some down weeks. There's not a lot of content and stuff going on, so we'll have this going on. But a lot of interaction from you guys, so I thank you all for that. And so we'll break it down, and we'll get everybody's thoughts and opinions and stuff like that, and we'll pick one that everybody seems to agree with for the most part, and we'll go with that. And then we'll have the worst cards from each cost, and then we'll have the best cards from each cost as well. So we're going to start that today. We're also going to talk a little bit in the spin about draft. And again, this has been brought up a lot again since Glenn Jones had a comment, and I've been talking about it for a while and mentioning it because I know it does seem like it's the next logical step for the game to go, especially with the amount of cards that they were giving and now kind of stopped with that. So I kind of think that there was a reason for all that, and so I know have been people doing content about it now, like how a draft mode would work. Some think it will, some think it won't. Everybody's going to kind of have their own opinion about it, I guess. But I don't know. We'll talk a little about that in the spin as well. And then we're going to go to In a Snap, and that is my week in Marvel Snap. So we'll talk about that, my week in the game, what I was doing and stuff like that, decks I was playing, variants and all that good stuff in the shop and all that. Then we'll head over to Comics Corner. We're going to talk about Kraglin and Major Victory today. So a twofer over in Comics Corner. And also what I've read this week. I read a lot of comics this week. A lot of comics. By the way, I finished the audiobook that I was listening to. And that's for the upcoming movie Project Hail Mary. What an amazing book. What an amazing book. If you are interested in that at all, obviously it's a science fiction kind of thing. It's science fiction from the respect that it's dealing with, things in space and of course things, so in that respect. But it's not, it's not science fiction-y to the point of where, some people don't enjoy like the Star Wars, the Star Treks and all that. It's not like that. It's more kind of like a science kind of a movie with a little bit of fiction thrown in there and stuff. So, but the book was amazing. And if you are interested in seeing the film, I got my tickets to go see it. It comes out next month. So I already have my tickets. They went on sale, and I am really looking forward to seeing. Now, they're going to try to condense this book into a 2.5-hour film. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be interested to see how they do that, because obviously the books go into so much more detail. And I'm going to, now that I've read the book, it's going to be a lot like when I was a kid and I would read like the novels I told you guys about, that I would read like the novel for Star Wars, and I read the novel for the first Superman movie. And so, and then when you do that, you go to a movie that, of course, can't adapt the entire book. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to get cut that won't go into the screenplay, that they feel that they can cut. But a lot of it is backstory and things like that, which, some of that stuff could be not necessary. But then when you don't see it, you're kind of a little bit disappointed in a way. And that's how it used to be. Like for me with the original Star Wars novel from '77, there was a lot of stuff cut out of that. Like, a lot of the stuff about, the book actually starts off with a whole thing on Tatooine with Luke prior to the ship coming in, like it started off the film with Darth Vader going after Princess Leia's ship and all that kind of stuff. It goes into the stuff. You meet Luke first, and it's all about, a little bit about his life on Tatooine and his friends there and stuff like that. And one of the friends he actually comes to meet later in the end of the film when he becomes a pilot for the rebellion. So you get like a lot of backstory about him that you just didn't get in the film. And oddly enough, like there were pictures in the movie program that I had that had pictures of some of those scenes. So some of it was filmed, but then it was never used. So it was cut out of the original screenplay, because, obviously that, and even back then, people were not even making films like they are now, where films are 2.5 hours long. Like this, Project Hail Mary is like over 2.5 hours. Some of the epic films like The Avengers was 2 hours and 45 minutes, almost 3 hours. Well, they didn't do that back then, because if they did, they would have had to do it almost in 2 parts. So they, nowadays you see more of that. They're not as afraid to kind of do a longer film. But they used to do like chapter episodes. That was before my time, where my parents would go see chapter things, where they would go to the movies one week and then they go to the next chapter the next week and stuff like that. They would see that, like those in the movies and stuff like that. So they would do it in chapters, but it was only be like an hour, each time. But they were a little more afraid to do that in the 70s when Star Wars came out. So they had to chop a lot of it off. But then I'd get a little bit disappointed thinking, oh man, I kind of, when I read the book, I had this scene in my mind and how it would play out, and I really kind of wanted to see it, but then it was cut out. And so I'm curious to see like what exactly. I mean, I kind of know what they'll cut out. Like a lot of it is without giving away spoilers and stuff like that. A lot of it is flashback kind of things, like when Ryan Gosling's character later in the film, he's flashing back to things that happened earlier in the book. He's flashing back to things that happened earlier in the book while he's in the present. So I would bet a lot of that flashback stuff will get cut out, but that, it does kind of develop the story and makes him into the character that he is. So it's going to be, but anyway, if you listen to or check out books, I would highly recommend it. It's excellent, and just finished it. Love the ending. And I can't wait to see the movie because there's people who have screened it already, and they're all raving about it, saying it is definitely an Academy Award nominee, and it's amazing. Which I love that, because that was one thing, like back in the day, you never saw movies that now they have 10 nominees. Back in when I was growing up and stuff like that, it was only ever 5 movies that were nominated to win the actual movie of the year, motion picture award, and now it's 10. So you have more of a shot, but they never really looked on any of those things with any kind of high regard. Like I remember when Star Wars was up for Best Picture, and of course it went up against a movie called The Goodbye Girl, and it didn't win. Because the Academy was always more apt to kind of go with like drama kind of stuff. They didn't like necessarily like these people that were in the Academy didn't really go for sci-fi. They didn't go for anything horror. They didn't go for anything, anything like that. It was always dramas that would win and stuff. So, and I mean, it is what it is, but But I always thought that, I think that ended when Silence of the Lambs won a lot of awards, and I think won Best Picture, which was crazy for a horror movie to win that. So, but I'm excited to see it, and like I said, I would highly recommend if you're looking for something to listen to or something to read. Check it out, especially if you're into that kind of thing. You're into like science or a little bit of science fiction. I would definitely recommend it. So that's the books that I've read. Comics I've read. Like I said, I read a lot of comics this week too, so I'll talk about that. Then we'll go over to the MCU minute. There's a lot of stuff getting out there about Spider-Man Brand New Day. There's a synopsis now out there from a book that is going to be released. It's a book about the making of the film and all that kind of stuff that's going to come out after, of course, the film comes out. But it's already gone on pre-order, and because of that, the synopsis is out for it. Many of the toys have been released, or pictures of the toys have released for it. So a lot of people are, the plot's kind of coming together, and supposedly the trailer is going to be probably sometime in March. More than likely CinemaCon, if I had to guess, because Sony is going to be there, and so is Marvel's going to be there as well. So I would imagine that, or I'm sorry, not Marvel, but Disney and Sony are both going to be there. So I'd imagine we may definitely get a trailer for Brand New Day, and probably maybe even get a teaser for Doomsday at that point as well. But there's a lot of news running around out there. Also news on Daredevil and what's coming up next with that, how they're saying now that the Kingpin stuff is going to end with this series, the upcoming one, and then they're going to move on to something else. So a lot of things going on about that. So we'll talk about that in the MCU minute. And then, of course, the Punisher thing, too, the Punisher one-shot special and stuff, and a returning character from Agatha all along. So that's exciting. Then we'll go to Pixel Perspective, and I'm going to talk about a game called Reanimal, which I saw one of my favorite video game streamers out there now. His name is Jacksepticeye. I like watching him. He's very funny, very entertaining, and he was playing Reanimal, and wow, that game! Like, I've never played anything from the designers that have made a game called Little Nightmares, and they are the makers of this. And wow, what an amazing looking game! It's played with like just little tiny characters that are almost like classic sprites, but except the graphics are way better. But what an amazing looking game, and wow, just awesome. He did a walkthrough. The only thing with the game is it's very short. He finished it in like 3 hours. The whole game took him 3 hours to play. And it's hard to spend money on a game like that, right? Because it's not like you can play through it again. I mean, you could, but once you see all the stuff, there's really nothing much else to do. And, you're spending a good amount of money on some of these games to play at once for 3 hours. It's not very good for your pocketbook, but I'll talk about that. Marvel Tokon as well, is getting a lot of, scenes and stuff from that. That's a Marvel fighting game that's coming out, and a lot of new characters that got announced for it. So we'll go over that in Pixel Perspective. And then we'll round out the show for the week. So, all right. Let's get into the conversation about the best and worst. So we're going to start off, like I said, with the worst. And we're going to go over, and I had my own list of nominees. So I had my own list of things that I wanted in there. And, of course, you guys then came in and commented on what yours would be. So this post got a lot of attention, which I appreciate all of you. 11,000 views. 11,000 views. That's awesome. And thank you to all of those who put in their words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to decide which one. And again, it's not going to be just me. If the many outweighs the one or the few, tell me where that movie's from. Speaking of sci-fi, then that of course is the one that we'll go with. So, all right. So I said I'm doing a worst cards series starting this week. So we'll go, like I said, we'll go worst, and then we'll go to best. Each costs a 1 to 6. I'm not going to do the zeros Because, like Wasp and Yellow Jacket aren't really... I mean, Wasp gets played every now and then in High Evo and stuff, High Evo negative. Wasp, and then Yellow Jacket sees play every now and then. But, I'm not gonna cover those. And I'm not going to cover, like, the ones above 6. Like, I mean, we could count, like, we can make it 6+, I guess, when we get to 6. So I wrote, which of these cards are the worst at one cost? So these are the ones that I chose. So I picked Agent 13. Now, look, this card, its ability isn't horrible. It's a 1/2, of course, on reveal, add a random card to your hand. So it's not the worst, but, like, you could really get, like, it's just a strict random card. So you can get a lot of crap with this. Let's face it. You can just get garbage. I mean, you can get lucky, but this is just like this is a gambler's card. And I will be honest, I have never, and I'm not exaggerating, except maybe in RSM or by a bot, I have never seen anyone play this card. Never. I've never seen any players play this card against me unless it was probably, it was, I mean, you could even tell because there's the bad bots that were playing this. I have never seen it played against me. I've never played it. So this card is, I like the character too. I mean, obviously from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, I like the character, but this card to me is just trash. And it's never even been looked at or anything like that. I guess they figure it's a starter card or, beginner's type card, whatever. And since it's a random card, they can get kind of anything. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what the purpose of it was to let, like, newer players see another card come and say, hey, this is a, how you get that screen that comes up when you see a new card, if you've never seen before, so I don't know, maybe that was part of it. My second one I have is poor old Nova, man. I love Nova as a character. I always have. But this card goes in nothing but early destroy. And I'm talking about, early on playing the game again, when you're first starting out as a new player. This card is pretty good, and again, I don't see anything play this against me. Even all the destroy players that play the game, I don't see anyone playing this against me unless they are a very, very low CL level, playing a destroy deck from that angle. But this card never gets played, and it's just not good. It's just not good. It doesn't even really fit the character, I don't think. I don't see, like, obviously Carnage, Venom, Deadpool, all that, because Deadpool dies a lot in the comics. I don't see this guy being a destroy card. To me, I think he deserves to be reworked. Nova's a cool character. Like I said, he's a very, very cool character, very strong character. And they have him as a 1/1, which is super weak. And he gives your cards 1 power, so he can be a 1, early in the game when you have like 6-7 cards out, he could be like a 1/7 or a 1/8 or something like that, I guess, but I don't know. To me, he deserves to be a better card, and he should be in something other than destroy, because I really don't think his character fits the destroy characters that get included there. So next we go to Uatu. Now this one I had a problem picking because I actually like this card. I love the character. I love Uatu because he was always in the What If books and stuff that I read a lot, and of course he was in the What If Marvel series too. I like this character, and he can, like, of all these cards so far, this is probably the coolest ability that one of them has. And I've had this card in decks before, and you could really, because locations can really screw you, right? Like, locations can really cause you to lose a game. And having, especially ones that you're locked out of, that you can't get into and stuff like that. And if you see that, right at the beginning of the game, you have an advantage because you'll be playing in that lane and nobody else is most of the time. Because most of the time people play in that, for whatever reason, people play in that left lane to start a lot. Now I've been seeing more and more where they'll gamble and they'll play in the second lane or third lane, but it doesn't happen as often. People are just inclined to start in that left lane. So this can win you games like that. And I know a lot of times I would have this in a Galactus deck because many times I would think, okay, if I can have an advantage here, if I can get an early Galactus out with like a wave or something, throw this in a lane where maybe they're not going to have access to or something later in the game, or they're not going to want to play later in the game on or early in the game on because it's going to disrupt them or something like that. So he can do cool stuff. It's just that what I found was the spot he takes up isn't worth the gamble, because he could also show you 3 locations that mean nothing. That doesn't, like, maybe that none of them have a disadvantage. So you're taking a gamble with it, and to me, he's not worth having in the deck at a 1-2. Maybe make him like let's say you were to make him a 1-3 or a 1-4 even like that. Then I would say it could be definitely worth playing. Even at a 1-3, I think it could be more worth playing in your deck. But at the 1-2, it's just a gamble. And, it could really do absolutely nothing for you. So that's why I had to stick him in there. I was sad to do it because there are probably maybe worse ones, which some of you have pointed out. But I don't know. To me, he just really never worked out. And then lastly, and this one is really only good for one style deck, maybe 2, and it is Selene. Obviously, a 1-2, afflict the lowest power card in each player's hand with -3 power. So obviously this hurts you unless you're playing either a deck with goblins, which it then helps you. And of course, this is how she would get played in Galactus. Because if you throw this out there and you have the Hobgoblin, your Hobgoblin's now an 11, a -11, which is huge. That just about wins you the Galactus. That just about wins you the game if you get the Galactus, right? Because they're at -11. More than likely they're going to ignore that. However, now you've got cards like Fastball Special in people's decks, which is still getting played a good amount in Destroy, and now they can just slam that down and reverse that right on you. So that makes it a little worse. Plus the fact that, and the other one would be like a clog deck, I guess, where, you could just play that -3. Like, let's say you're playing a Hood. You obviously have Hood and Clog. You play her. She makes the Hood a -1, was he -1/6? No, I'm sorry, 1 -6. So you'd be a 1 -6, and then you could use it to clog them and stuff like that. But it's too risky now. With, like I said, with the amount of Fastball Special being played and those kind of negative afflict decks being played and stuff like that, it's too risky to sit there, and especially to sit there and wait around when you could play the Hobgoblin out. You could also have a green goblin that she could work with as well, but I don't know. To me, very, very limited card, limited to, like I said, pretty much those 2 decks. A clog deck, which not really many people are playing clog at all anymore. And where you're just clogging people with the goblins, you're clogging, and then you could have a Galactus deck in there to finish people off. But this card just really, at a 1-2 and the power that it has, it's really not that great. You're hitting something in your hand with -3. So yes, you're doing it to the other player too, but I don't know. To me, it's just not a great card. So. And then, of course, last but not least, and this card, Mantis, even with a recent buff, it's just still not good. 1-3, on reveal, if your opponent played any cards here this turn, copy one of them into your hand. Again, it's random. Your opponent might play some kind of thing that you can't possibly use that you're going to get copied, and you never play it anyway. It goes in your hand, and you don't end up playing the card. Mantis is a cool character. I've said this many, many times, and a lot of people love her. She might be one of the most favorite characters of people that watch the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. People love Mantis. And this is just a lousy card, and really has been for a long time. And even with the recent buff, it doesn't even matter. Like, people were getting this card for free with Major Victory, and they probably weren't even playing it as 2 of the cards that they're getting, because they might have gotten like Rocket and Mantis and stuff like that, and they wouldn't even play this card. That's how bad this card is. Like, you don't even want it for a 1-3. So I think this card, I think, just needs to be reworked. I've said that before. Her ability is terrible. And I just think that because, like I said, the character is very popular, and they should really just do a complete rework of this. But Mantis is the other one I have mentioned. So let's see what you guys have said. Now, some of you just didn't. Some of you disagreed with me as to what I picked, which is fine. You know, I'm looking for that kind of reaction. So that's fine. But let me see what. Whoops. Let me see what some of you have said. This is from Chris, who used to be, I think he used to be Chris Hamsworth, but he changed his name. At crispy roll _ rolls on Twitter. I've never used Agent 13. No, I haven't either. I've seen players use it again and again. So I think I've seen players use it A13 again and again. So I think she's the worst. It's such a weird card. Like I said, I've never played it. Solman Aziz Mirza MD says Uatu 1,000%. Bibo Z says Mantis should put the card into play or into hand with a buff like -1 cost or +2 power. It definitely needs to be changed. It definitely needs. I'm more under the impression that she just changed the card over, totally. AJ Jamil says, I wanted to disagree with this, but I cannot. Sammy says, Mantis, Mad Thinker, and Celine. So, yeah, Mad Thinker is another one. I could have included Mad Thinker on the list, and to be honest, I probably didn't because I never play it. I never touched that card. And so that could be why I never, but a lot of you have said that. A lot of you have said Mad Thinker. Herschel says Nova's a pretty big part of my destroy deck. Celine is useful in some Galactus, so I would say Uatu because there are very few scenarios where knowledge of the third location would give an advantage, destroy or lockout location. Yeah, I mean you're gambling because you're not going to see that a lot. Like obviously now he's a good card when there are certain featured locations. If there ends up being a featured location that's a lockout location, well, then everybody's going nuts and play Uatu in their deck. Because then in that case, you're going to be... But at that point, people are going to be onto it. They're going to see you play there, then they're going to play there. Because then they know, like, they just put out an Uatu. So obviously they know what they're doing. So then they're gonna play there anyway. So Explodium Gaming says Mantis is the worst. Mad Thinker is worse than her. Mantis is the worst here, meaning my choice is Mad Thinker is worse than her. Lauren Whatever says it's definitely Mantis. Burb named a couple. Of course, Mad Thinker's on his list. At the start of each turn, after drawing +2 power, if your hand is full. Yeah, that's kind of crap. Yeah, that's kind of crap. This was a free card, right? I think, if I remember correctly, it was a free card. He also has Nicholas Scratch. Now, I would maybe disagree with that a little bit. Because he's seeing a lot more play now with the amount of skills that we have. Because this is one of those ones where after you play a skill +1 power, a lot of people have been playing those decks where it's nothing but skills, especially if they're, the newer skills that are out and things like that. So I don't know. I think Nicholas has gotten better. I'm not going to say he's great, but I think he's gotten better. He has King Eitri in here too. Now this gets used primarily in Thor's decks, but I've seen people using this in... Arshem decks. I've seen, so I don't know. I don't know that this one's, I'm not saying that this is great either, but I wouldn't say that this is horrible. It does at least have a deck type that it goes in, whereas some of the really bad ones just don't. And then of course they have Mantis listed as well. So you could see where I think we're getting here, guys. I think it's pretty easy to see where we're going to get to. Mad Thinker, I've never used it once, says Steve. Bibo Z says Mantis. Agent 13, Mad Thinker. Reviews from the Tub says Mad Thinker. Mathematico Supremo says, I think the only utility for Agent 13 is spotting bots on ladder. Yeah, that's the only thing you could tell. That's the only way you could easily tell you're playing a bot. Also is when you see, if you see Agent 13, because nobody ever plays it. JNR says Mad Thinker, Uatu, Mantis would be my top 3. Buds All Day says, well, Martyr actually tries to lose you the game. I can't think of a worse ability for a card than that. Yeah, but like I've seen Safety Blade has a Galactus deck, which I mentioned here, that he uses Martyr primarily to get priority. Now the kicker with that is, yes, she can bite you in the butt, because if you don't get the Galactus and you don't blow her up or get rid of her, yes, I had that happen a couple of times when I was using that very deck. And I didn't get Galactus, and I was just trying to win the game, and then you kind of forget she's on the board, and the next thing you know, whoop, she moves over and she loses you the game. So, yeah, that's not a great card, but I think at her stat line, at least, there's a little bit of a reprieve there. He responded, that's a good use. I've heard C5 is good with her also. Yeah, because, anything you're going to use to fill the board, like in a lot of times Cerebro decks fill up the board pretty easily, then, yeah. Because then you're giving her nowhere to go. Let's see what else we got. The Boz 1027 says Celine with Mantis a close second. Joey Fantana says Martyr, Black Cat, and Nicholas Scratch. Black Cat, I don't know. Like, they've changed so much, but she was a big part of the Invisible Woman decks for the longest time. So I don't know. I don't know that I'd include her, but I mean, obviously, Martyr, you're the second person to say that, and Nicholas Scratch, others have had that up here too. Chris Space says, personally, Agent 13 is very useful for my collector deck. It's helped me win a lot of matches. Okay, yeah, I that's not one that I really see anybody play. I don't come up against many people playing collector anymore. Every now and then, like the collector Devil Dino thing pops up, but not very often. Is a joke thing says, we snuck Celine and Agent 13 into this list when Mantis and M'Baku exist. Crazy work. Mind you, Maria Hill is definitely worse than Agent 13. M'Baku, and I responded saying, I've seen M'Baku win games in Arsham decks because it just pops out at the very end, and games sometimes get close. I've seen people use M'Baku too now in Cerebro. So, because it just pops out of the hand at the end and gets the bonus from the Cerebro. So I don't know. I don't think maybe a year or so ago I would have said M'Baku's terrible, but I don't know if he's so bad now. So Scotty H says Mantis pretty bad even with the buff. Toast says Hawkeye, and it's not even close. It says only been historically good in Team Clash. Well, he's completely different in Team Clash, but I've seen this card played to some success in Bounce. Because you could just keep doing his ability over and over. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that one. I would never play it because I'm not a Bounce player, but I've seen it played to success in that deck. Nick comes in saying Kraglin. Well, he's not a 1 cost. I'll keep that in mind when we do 3 cost. But I don't mind Kraglin, man. I've been. I'll get to that in the snap section in my week in the game, because I've been playing a lot of Kraglin. Actually, he works out in a certain deck. Nick Aiello says counterpoint. You're playing Electro, Superior, Spider-Man, Hope, etc. Really, any of the other 3 cost energy? Oh, that was my counterpoint with Kraglin stuff. So that was Simonius. Oh, darn it. Simonius Grant says absolutely abysmal dog poop of a card, but he's talking Magnus. So that again, not a 1 cost. I don't think they read all the way up in the post, and so I was only doing 1 cost. 2 for this, too old for this, but here I am. Don't ever go against my Iwatu. That's literally the best 1 cost in the game. Let your plan according to location before your opponent knows what's going on. Planning of location means planning out of how you. Well, yeah, I said that. I understand that what he does, but I just, like I said, for what the card gives you and the amount of gamble you're taking, I just don't think it's worth it. Original Recipe David says probably Watu. I only ever use him if Arishem has given him to me. I do quite like Agent 13, but that's only because of Agent 13 has cool variants. I give us a reason to play it. Palindrome. Yeah, it's just spelled different. Can I nominate Web Sling? Yeah, it's probably the worst of the skills, I would think, so far that we've gotten. Marin says Nova definitely deserves more disrespect. Destroys an unplayable trap early game. Nova has nowhere to go. Early Surfer. Yeah, he used to be used in Surfer. I don't know. To me, I just think there's much better 1 cards that people could play. And it's a shame. Because like I said, I like that character. This is La Opción Antropológica Aceptada. Says Martyr, Selene, and Mantis. Tomas Delmar says definitely Mantis, Mad Thinker comes after. Watu, Nova, and Scratch have done well some combo decks that I played. 13 was my favorite card at launch. Selene was my worst experience, but at least it worked sometimes. Mantis text is just bad. Geo at Galar says Martyr, Mantis, Mad Thinker, and Selene. A lot of M's. Aegeus Spiritus says not only Maria Hill has the same power and cost as Agent 13, but her effect is much better because you know the cost you'll get right. Exactly. It's not like a completely random card. And like being that it's random, everything like random could be random. Like you can get you can get so many bad cards from that. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm tied between Websling, Agent 13, and Mantis. Angel LC says Mantis, Mad Thinker, Martyr. And then Kamiko95 says Mad Thinker. The fact that no one here has said it shows how awful it is. No one even remembers it. All right. Well, I think we've got our answer here, and I think it probably would have come down to the 2 between Mad Thinker and Mantis. But I think it's pretty much said for as many people have said it here. And I think we're going to go with Mantis. So we have our first in the worst card list, our number 1, and that is poor Mantis is the worst number 1 card in Marvel Snap. So I think it's been decided on you all, and I had her on my list too. So we will go with Mantis. Mantis makes the list of worst cards in Marvel Snap at number 1. So next week, we'll do the number 2s. So thank you all for the participation. I appreciate that. Thank you all so much, and keep doing that. I'm just flabbergasted by the amount of views. 11,000 views. That's amazing. But thank you all for chiming in and giving your opinions. I had some really cool opinions and some great ones, counterpoint and stuff like that too. So I love it. So Mantis number 1 and coming in at number 2 is poor old Mad Thinker. Man, who knows? Maybe Mad Thinker. Mad Thinker is relatively new, so maybe they'll kind of mess around with his power and stuff like that, and maybe buff him at some point. But we just got to buff for Mantis, and that obviously did nothing. So that just kind of shows me how bad Mantis is. All right, so we're gonna move on, and our next part of the spin here is we're gonna talk just a little bit about draft. I've seen some people talking about it with some excitement. I've seen other creators talk about it with less excitement, saying that it's really not going to work very well and stuff like that in this game. I disagree. I think that draft will work out. I really do. Now it's going to come out. We're going to have to see how they're going to do it first of all, because draft can be done in any number of ways. I think a lot of people could be thinking draft like Magic the Gathering has draft in their app and things like that. And obviously, yeah, as I've said many, many times before, it's going to be tough because Snap just doesn't have the card amount. You know, you have so many cards that you could choose from, so many series of Magic that they allow you to play in draft mode that you could choose from, plus like the base cards and all that kind of stuff. So obviously Snap doesn't have that. So they're going to have to figure out, of course, a different way of doing draft. It may not look exactly like, but I've seen players do draft. I've seen Cozy doing his version of it where they spun the wheel on some of the cards, or was that Regis? A lot of them have done it. Played like draft modes against one another. I know Binks and Dexter have done it, and so a lot of creators have tried it. So it's just going to depend on how they're going to do it, like how it's going to come out. But obviously we saw that comment, talked about it on last week's show from Glenn, saying that draft mode is being worked on. So I think that with Glenn's background in Magic I think that's going to work well on the side of it. Again, we've seen over this past year, we've really seen them inject a lot of cards into the game. Now, as you can see from the data mines and obviously from this month and stuff, the card amount is starting to go down. So I think they really wanted to ramp it up last year so that they knew, and obviously with all the skills now that we have, that's really ramping things up. So I think you're going to be able to pick in the draft from skill pools where you can draft skills into your deck, which I think is just only going to help. But I'm almost certain that we're going to get a draft mode at some point soon. I don't know exactly when they'll debut it. Maybe it won't be until like third quarter of the year, maybe like somewhere in the fall. But I fully believe that it will be fun. I think they'll figure out a good way for it to work. Because again, at draft a lot of times too, like Magic the Gathering draft, you're playing against multiple people. Not just one person. You're playing against multiple people. So they're going to have to figure out because this isn't going to be multiple, I don't think. Because, Snap is just a game of one-on-one. It's one-on-one on ladder. It's one-on-one in Conquest. It's all ever been is one-on-one. Even when they do the tournaments and stuff like that for the game, it's one-on-one. So I don't really think they're going to change that. So it's going to be a draft mode for 1v1. It's not going to be, you're not going to have 10 people in a draft. So it's going to be a little different where, it's just going to be a pool of cards where it's just going to go you, then them, then you, then them, then you, then them. So it is going to be different from that aspect. Where Magic, you go in like a round table and then you might have 4 people you're picking cards with or maybe more. So unless they do something like that, but I don't know how they would do that in their game without completely changing the functionality of the game itself. And I don't know that would be a good idea, especially now with all the bugs in the game, but also just the fact that it makes it slow. And even in Magic, when I would play, Magic Online and play their, arena, their draft mode would even sometimes lag a little bit. So imagine like Snap, how bad that would lag if they tried to do like a 4-way draft or, more people than 2. So I don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to have to be something that's just going to be drafting, 2 of you drafting. And it's going to have to be some kind of randomizer and stuff involved and this and that. Like, I don't know, maybe it'd be like a little bit of a game show. Like when the person starts, you get like 3 cards will pop up. So card 1, card 2, card 3. And then you have a certain amount of time. They can't make it super long either, right? Because that could take forever. They give it like a little bit of a timer. So maybe you have like 30 seconds to pick from those 3 cards, right? And then the other 2 go back into the pool. And so then your opponent has, and it's probably just going to be, they're probably not going to do it like series. They're not going to do like 1, 2, 3. They're not going to do it like all 1s, all 2s, all 3s, all 4, all 5, all 6. I don't think they'll do it that way. I think it's just going to be random. Where you're just going to be able to, you can get any cost in this randomizer. It might be a 6 cost or a 5 or a 1 or 2. I think it's going to be any. And that's how I think it'll go. So we'll see. But I do believe it's coming. I do believe it's going to be this year. And I think it'll be pretty cool. Will it have kinks? Will it have things it's going to have to work out? Sure. But I think they'll do a good job with it. I have faith in the devs. I think that, the background that they have and things like that, I think they're going to make it fun. I think they'll find a way to make it where it works in their quick manner that they want people to play the game, that it's not going to take 15, 20 minutes to do, that's, the draft itself isn't going to take like 10 minutes to pick all the cards and stuff like that. So I think they'll do a good job with it. And I think it fits the game. I know some people have said that it really doesn't fit Snap and stuff like that, but I think they'll figure out how to make it fit. I do, because I believe that there can be a draft mode in Marvel Snap. So we'll see, right? We'll see. I'm sure that obviously with what Glenn mentioned in that comment about how it's after draft, so he's already talking about after draft mode. So I think that's going to be coming sooner than later. So I'm excited. I think like I said, I think it's going to be great for everybody. I think it's going to be great for the content creators because now obviously Twitch drops are back. So that's exciting. I used to like getting Twitch drops and go and watch my favorite creators that I watch anyway and benefit them. And then, you get some drops and stuff like this. So that's coming back. So that's exciting. There may be things coming on the horizon for another thing that people were getting upset about. I can't really talk about it yet, but just keep your eyes on the news. Obviously, listen here because I'm sure I will announce it when the time comes. But yeah, so I'm excited about draft, and it's really going to benefit creators as well, because I think a lot of these creators who stream the game, probably sometimes find it a little bit tough to get audiences and get views and things like that. And I think that this will really, because they can now go do the ladder climbing thing and stuff like that on one day, do draft day on another day, or do 2 days a week of draft, or and I think it's just going to be more fun for people to watch. Watching somebody climb the ladder, they're testing out new cards and things like that, so that's kind of cool. And some creators are finding out better ways to do it. Some creators now, I think like Binks is describing how to play certain decks that he plays, does like a play-by-play of decks, which is helpful to people who want to play those kinds of decks. But I think that if you're doing some kind of random draft, I think it's just more fun to watch. Watch what people do with their cards. Watch how people, so I think that's going to help them out too. So, all right. Next up, we are going to go to In a Snap, and that was my week in the game. I can tell you I did not play any ladder. Ladder's really tough, man. And it's because you still have people playing Shulao. So obviously the nerf that they did to that really didn't harm it much. So you still have people playing that. Hell, you have people playing different versions of it now, and you still have people playing a ton of Star-Lord. With the combination, the Zola one, or just the plain old, I'm just going to put out Fin Fang Foom and just beat you deck, and which, by the way, that Fin Fang Foom, you watch it, that doesn't get nerfed before Star-Lord does, because I personally think that card, and believe me, I love the character. I don't want to see it happen, but that card I think needs to be nerfed. I would even go so far as to change it, not just numbers. I don't think numbers are going to cut it. You can knock him down to 7-10, knock him down to 7-8. It's not going to matter, because you're still getting a lot of power from those opposite two cards that he's pulling. I think what they need to do is change the wording on the card so that he only hits one of the cards in the front row, because then that randomizes it in a way. It's 50-50. And let's say the other player has like one kind of big power card, but one not so big power card, or maybe one very small card like a Surge, where there's only going to get one power from that. That's what I think I would do with it, because it randomizes it more. And then in that case, even if he's left at a 7-12, you get a 1 power from that one power card that's on that one side of the lane, and he's gonna be a 7-13. So, but I think FFF is gonna need some work, and they don't be shocked if in this upcoming OTA that you see him get nerfed before you see Star-Lord get nerfed, because I think that card right now is just obnoxiously powerful and obnoxiously strong. So really all I was playing was just messing around in Conquest. That's really all I was doing. And of course I got enough points to get the card. I got the card and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much all. I was just going around. I was trying different decks, very non-stress. Because I just gotten to the point where it's like, when you, to find joy, in the game, sometimes, rather than getting away, or rather than going away altogether from the game, and, you like the game, sometimes you just have to turn away and go to a more relaxing kind of part of the game. And so and while Conquest, and believe me, I've seen it, Conquest is sweaty. Some people play it sweaty. Even in Proving Grounds, they play it sweaty, which I just don't understand, but I try to keep my temper when people I see playing Star-Lord decks in Proving Grounds or anything else that's a very popular meta deck in Proving Grounds. But, I don't know. I guess I have to look at it from a perspective that in Proving Grounds where people are playing for really no stakes or not ladder or anything like that, they might be, lower players, or I always look at collection level, and a lot of them aren't low. A lot of them are like 30, 40,000 CL. But I don't know. I have to give the benefit of the doubt, I guess, sometimes. But Proving Grounds never really makes any sense to me that anybody would play that sweaty, because, who cares? But some people just are in it to win it, I guess. And, it doesn't really matter what the mode is. But yeah, that's generally all I did. I haven't moved. Well, I shouldn't say that. I went back up to 84 on ladder, but I haven't really played it. And I really don't. I really don't have that much interest in getting any further with it, even the 90, unless I see some changes done when the OTA comes out. So, all right. So let's look at some decks here that I've played or seen other creators playing that look like they were having a good time, and some of them I just picked up and tried them out. So the number one deck in the game right now is a star or an anti. This obviously is anti. This is anti-Star-Lord, and it happens to be the number one deck in Snap. And this is made up of Spider-Ham, Hydra Bob, Herbie, Kate Bishop, Sam Wilson's Captain America, Cosmo, Drax, Mercury, Stardust, Cannonball, Fantastic Four First Step, Sting, and Aurora. So an Aurora deck is the number one deck right now. And you can see why, because obviously Spider-Ham just damages, let's say it hits Star-Lord. Well, there goes their plan, right? And it's a shame we don't know what it hits anymore, because now there's a bug with Spider-Ham where you don't see what he hits. And a lot of people were asking, was that intentional? It is not. But now you can't tell, so you really don't know, which kind of stinks. Hydra Bob, you all know what Hydra Bob does, just jumps around and gives you priority in certain debt. Herbie is a very underrated card. I really think it's a very underrated card. Helps you with the energy, extra energy, can do other things. Kate Bishop, Sam Wilson's Cap, of course, with the shield. Cosmo is very good into the meta. If you can kind of figure out where they're going to put that Star-Lord, if they're playing Star-Lord, and you put that Cosmo down, again they're quite screwed. Drax is actually pretty good. He really is. I'm not going to say he's great. He's in the upper echelon of cards, but he's actually pretty good. Mercury Cannonball has appeared back in the game, and I said, isn't it ironic, don't you think, that the game has gotten to a point where it has pulled one of the most unliked combos back into the game, just a combo, the combo that's being used right now. So isn't it ironic that Mercury Cannonball is the answer to the Star-Lord stuff? Stardust is in here, obviously, because of the Zola stuff that's going on with the Stardust decks. And also Hela, I guess, a little bit. But you don't see too much of that Hela anymore. People kind of gave up on that. Thing has always been a very good card. Always been a good card. He could just pound one of those cards that are across from him out of the game, which can totally lose your opponent a lane. And then Aurora's pretty good, and you want to watch your placement, obviously, with the cards, because you want to get enough power into each one of the lane from the Aurora at the end of the game. So you want to kind of be strategic on where you place the cards. I've been playing a move deck. Me, go figure. But this has been pretty sneaky good again, and this is a Scream list. Of course, the Batroc the Leaper, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler, I told you guys, was to me, I think that was one of the best buffs that they have had in a little bit, and he's actually pretty good. Scream, Craven, Sam's Cap, Spider-Man, Kraglin is in here. Prowler, Polaris, Stegron, Cannonball, and Magneto. Again, this is just what Scream was always about. It's just disruption. You're able to just disrupt your opponent. You're able to move their cards around where they don't want them moved. The last thing your opponents want is for their cards to get moved somewhere else where they don't want it to be. And that's pretty much what this does. It is, though, reliant on you getting out the cards you need. You have to get this. If you don't get the Scream out, it becomes very tough to win. Craven's kind of a bonus, but if you don't get the Scream out, it makes it very, very hard on you to actually win the game. But if you do, this is a pretty good answer to the meta. Cerebro 3 has come back. Speaking of, this one, Jean Grey has been pulled out to be a counter. This one has Nebula, Echo, Goose, Mojo. I think I saw this on Snap Judgment's Glazer's pod, or his daily videos. U.S. Agent, Lizard, Luke Cage, Rocket and Groot, Cosmo, Jean Grey, Negasonic, and Man-Thing. Again, my boy shows up. And I've only played a few games with this, but this is pretty. The sneaky cards in this, first of all, Goose. You ain't playing Star-Lord on that lane. Obviously with Goose there. So, and then of course U.S. Agent for the bigger cards. And then you've got Man-Thing that can just, they fill a lane with a lot of small stuff. Man-Thing can just wreck that entire lane. And then, of course, the Luke Cage helps in that respect. Same thing with Rocket and Groot. And then you got Cosmo, which is fantastic. You have the Jean Grey, and, they're getting ready to play that Star-Lord. All you got to do is play the Cosmo if you have priority, and then they're going to have to play it in the Jean Grey lane. So then you're going to, obviously, the counter it with Cosmo. So this one is pretty good. This one I saw on Binks' stream, and he has his video where he actually goes over and talks about the deck and exactly how it works turn by turn. I forget the name of those now, but go check out Binks' channel. This is a zombie list, which everybody was playing back in when the zombies came out. But this is Deafening Chord, The Hunger, Nightcrawler, Merlin, Zombie Mr. Fantastic, Grandmaster, Kate Bishop, Superior Spider-Man, Zombie Scarlet Witch, Absorbing Man, Zombie Giant Man, and Shu Lao. So this is a Shu Lao deck, which can get very, very large at the end of the game with the Zombie Giant Man shenanigans and things like that. And of course, Absorbing Man as well. So you have a big turn at the end here where not many people may be expecting the Shu in the deck. But if they start seeing it, they will. But this is a pretty good one. Let's see what we've got here. Safety Blade has this one. This is an actual Star-Lord deck. So if you really want to play Star-Lord, this is Kitty Pryde, Echo, Nico Minoru, Nightcrawler, Merlin, Daredevil, Cosmo, Luna Snow, Juggernaut, Star-Lord, Shu Lao, and Fin Fang Foom. Daredevil is great to go up against Star-Lord decks because you can kind of plan as to where Daredevil's made it back to the meta. Go figure. Let's see what else we've got. Oh, there's a Doom list if you like playing Doom. I was playing this a little bit in Conquest, and it was kind of fun because it has a little bit of tech. So this is Hydra Bob, Chamber, Moondragon, Invisible Woman, First Steps, Drax, Mercury, Doom, 2099, Iron Lad, Cannonball. So you got the Mercury Cannonball combo in there. Cosmic Ghost Rider, which works out really well late game as a tech card. You have Doctor Doom, of course, and Aurora. So it's an Aurora list. as well. But this is pretty good. If you like playing Doom, this is a good one to play because you got some good counter stuff in there. And then there's still like the ramp decks are still out there. Star-Lord and Zola, like I said earlier, this one, if you see Jim Hammond is a complete giveaway that you are playing against Star-Lord deck. So if you see Jim Hammond come down and you don't want to face Star-Lord, just leave for the 1 cube because you know that's what that deck is. But this one is Jim Hammond's Human Torch, Daredevil, Grandmaster, Luna, Wave, Absorbing Man, Juggernaut, Star-Lord, Master of the Sun, Arnim Zola, Eliath, Red Hulk, and Fin Fang Foom. So that's just some of the decks that I was messing around with, mostly in Conquest. All right, so let me look at let's look at some cards, see what I got as far as my collection here. Check out some of my variants and such. I got the Silver Surfer bundle variant, and I this one I had to pick up the comic book covers. I mean, of course, and this is of course the Silver Surfer issue number 1, which is awesome. Love the covers, and it is a super rare. Of course, says right on it the origin of Silver Surfer, the premiere issue. I'll talk a little bit about this in Comics Corner. But I love the comic book covers, and I'm glad to see that they're finally bringing some of them back. We haven't seen him in a while. Mobius M. Mobius, the Pandart Studio variant of him. I needed a cooler Mobius. I don't have very many of the card, so I picked that one up. Star-Lord, of course, Master of the Sun. That's from the collection track. Kraglin, I got his 700 variant because I get those for free. And this one's done by Paul Maffan. The Mobius one was Pandart Studio, like I said. Vincenzo Riccardi did the Star-Lord one on the collection track. The cute Cosmo one with Jeff in it. I got a Thanos, the Pasquale Ferreira variant of Thanos, which I thought looked kind of cool. Split, it's amazing. You can see like planets floating and stuff behind. Oh, no, wait. Oh, that might be his throne. Oh, yeah, I think it is. Like coming from the one side, it looks like the Death Star. The one planet's definitely a moon, but it looks like the Death Star because it's got the circle in the front. I wonder if they intended it to look that way. That's kind of neat, though. But a little thing there. Kind of looks like the Death Star. Flying. In fact, there's another rock flying in front of it that kind of looks like a little R2-D2. So that's kind of cool. But I like the pose. He's like battle stance, and he has his sword. So it's the MCU Thanos, I believe, because that's the sword that we saw that he had in the in Avengers Endgame. Got a Jubilee Lunar Year variant. That was the one that you got for free. And then obviously Groot, the Jesper Edge Sing variant. That's from Conquest. So that's from playing Conquest. I got a Dan Hip. Love my Dan Hips. Variant of Copycat, which is really cool. Half and half, looking like Mystique. And the other half is what is Copycat. So, wait, is the other half? Who's the other? The other half looks like Bucky Barnes. That might be is that who that is? No, wait. It might be. Oh no, it's Domino. That's Domino. Okay, so she's like half Domino, and it could be half Domino and half Copycat, or half of herself, or it could just be. It could be Mystique. But in either case, it's really cool, and the Dan Hips art is awesome. And that is about it. That is about it for me for variants for the week. Not a bad week for those. And so let's see. We'll look at the. We had a new location called Zenla. Is a hot location. I had 3 cost card from your deck here. So you're playing 3 cost. Obviously, that could be why Cerebro 3 came back around. Because that, of course, is just going to help Cerebro 3. And it's going to just pull, They have this new thing, too, in the shop called Community Spotlight. And it's a deck from the community. And this one's from Regis Kilbin. And you can just copy the deck code. and play one of the creators' decks. Let's look at the Vibranium offers are back. We have Headpool as a bundle in there for gold, 3,500 gold, for a variant of Headpool and 4,500 tokens. I'm sorry, not tokens, credits, 4,500 credits. Frost and Fortune, Luna Snow bundle's been around for a bit. In my shop today, we have the 1 million BC variant of Ghost Rider, the Envar Studio variant of Misery, Hellfire Gala variant of Cap, Rose Besh variant of Scarlet Witch, Spirit of Vengeance variant of MODOK. Well, I don't know if I ever saw that. I know I have the one of Red Hulk. Oh, this is kind of cool. That is a cool looking MODOK. They're always neat when you split them because they're flames. Wow, that's cool looking. If I played with the card more, I would think about it. We have a Nightforged variant Nebula, which looks really awesome too. Kim Jacinto is Venom. And then Giuseppe Camuncoli variant of Hazmat, which has been around for a while. I always look at these and see if it's worth it. Now, see this one, the Venom one, if I get it, right? So now this is 1,200 gold. If I were to get it, though, I would get 3,000 tokens because it's on a... It's in that album, so I would get 3,000 tokens. So I'd have to determine if that is a smart thing. The Rose Besh. No, I don't get any rewards for the next card in that album. The Cap, Hellfire Gala. No, I'm still a couple cards away from any good rewards there. The Misery. The Misery, I would get a. Oh no, the Misery, I wouldn't get anything there. That one I need 3. And then the Ghost Rider, now same thing, I would need 3 there. So, the only one that would be worth it for me would be the Venom, but I have so many Venoms, and I don't know if I want to waste the gold just for that. I think that's about it, guys. I think that is about it. That is about all that is in the... And like I said, I got the Groot from the Conquest stuff, and next week I have more than enough to get because I've been playing it so much. So I have more than enough to get the neon, yellow neon border, the Groot avatar, and the Infinity ticket when it comes out next week. So, all right, we're moving on. We're going to go to Comics Corner, and we are going to talk about Major Victory and Kraglin. So let's go to Major Victory first. Give a little background on him. And as I said, I'm going to cut these a little short. I'm not going to go into so many details. Just going to kind of give you a background, a little bit of backstory, and where you can find him in comics. All right, so we're going to look at Major Victory. It is Vance Astro from Earth 691, and his quote is, my name is, I am Vance Astrovic. I am Major Victory of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Please, can somebody tell me when I am? For Major Victory. So here you go. That is his comment. His name is Vance Astro, legally changed from Vance Astrovic. He is a Major Victory. His nickname is Captain Wannabe. His affiliation and relationships, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy, former Guardians of the Galaxy, Prime Marvel University Avengers and Defenders. His relatives, his grandparents are Jerzy Astrojevic, and his paternal, obviously, Jerry Astrovic, paternal grandfather, Katarina Astrojevic, obviously Russian, and that is his paternal grandmother. He also has Aleda Ogord is his fiancée. Currently single. Physical characteristics: he's male, 6'1", 235 pounds, 250 when in the bodysuit. His irises are hazel. His hair is black. Origin and living status: he is a mutant, later enhanced by a transfusion of ionic blood. He is from the the Serengeti's in New York. He was killed by Korvac and then revived by Korvac. His identity is public. He is American. He's an adventurer, formerly an astronaut, freedom fighter. His base of operations, Starship Captain America 2, formerly Nowhere. And you guys know Nowhere from Guardians. Socrates, New York City, and Earth. There's all the different places he was. His creators are Arnold Drake and Gene Colan. And his first appearance was in Marvel Superheroes number 18 in October of 1968. Again, a year before I was born. Whew. Vance Astro shared a similar history to his Earth 616 counterpart until when he was 16 years old. His mutant powers did not manifest, leading him to join the Air Force. As a young man, Astrovic changed his name to Vance Astro. After a tenure in the U.S. Air Force, he was accepted into the astronaut program at a very young age and was chosen to be the first man to travel in the nearest star system. Doctors replaced his blood and coated his internal organs with some kind of preserving fluid before he was placed in suspended animation, and his ship was launched into space on a mission that would last over 1,000 years. However, when his ship landed on Centauri 4 in 3006 AD, Major Astro was shocked to be greeted by Earthmen who had beaten him to the planet and colonized it. Dismayed that everything he had sacrificed had been for nothing, Astro decided to complete his original mission and catalog the planet's flora and fauna, even though that mission was obsolete. While hiking in the mountains, Astro came across Yondu, who was in the middle of performing his people's ritual of manhood. Yondu attacked Astro for interrupting the ritual, but the threat caused Astro's psychokinetic ability to manifest itself in his defense. Afterwards, the two became reluctant companions and then friends. Later that year, the Centauri 4 colony was attacked and destroyed by the Brotherhood of Badoon. With the first evidence of hostilities, Astro took Yondu aboard his survey ship and attempted to escape to the nearest known planet in the Centauri system. But they were swiftly overtaken and captured. The Badoon also seemingly eradicated the entire native Centaurian race. In 3000 AD, Astro and Yondu were sent as captives to Earth, which the Badoon had recently conquered and enslaved after wiping out the colonies on Jupiter, Mercury, and Pluto. While being presented to the Badoon leader Durang, Astro and Yondu escaped and soon ran into two other survivors of Badoon genocides, Charlie 27 from the Jovian colonies and Martin X from Pluto. Astro soon found himself leading a group of fellow adventurers who named themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy. The newly formed team soon acquired an unfinished starship after accidentally discovering a long-abandoned city hidden in the ocean beneath the north pole of the Jovian moon Europa. After making the starship space-worthy, the team spent the next 7 years fighting to free Earth from the Badoon. In 3014, a woman named Taryn was accidentally pulled back in time to the late 20th century, where she met some of that era's heroes. After hearing her description of what her future was like, Captain America, the Thing, and Sharon Carter returned to the future with her. The presence of their symbol of liberty, Captain America, inspired the people to rise up, and the combined forces of the Guardians, the Terran Underground, and the heroes from the past managed to recapture New York City. It goes on. There's quite a bit here. So it goes into, of course, the new Guardians of the Galaxy. So later in Earth 616, Star-Lord and his team came across part of the Avengers Mansion, along with a hibernating Vance frozen in limbo ice, and wearing what looked like his longtime black and silver suit, apparently displaced from some point within the Earth 691 timeline or a counterpart from an entirely different reality. Freed by Phi Lavelle, he then accompanied the team back to their base on Nowhere, joining the team and inspiring them to use Guardians of the Galaxy as their name. Suffering from anemia, Vance was soon attacked by Starhawk, who changed appearances and identities numerous times. So that's a little more modern, and that's where they're getting the character from. His powers: psychokinesis, energy projection, simulated telekinesis, telekinetic flight, energy construct creation. His abilities, of course, military training, leadership, and starship piloting. Without his suit, he ages rapidly. So paraphernalia is containment suit, which that is what they were talking about. It helps his body withstand surviving a 100-plus year-long space journey. After facing overkill for the first time, adamantium was placed along his outfit to protect him. After Krugar's enhancement enchantment protected him, began wearing an outfit similar to Captain America. Later, he wore a symbiote-like suit, which was given to Vance by the Beyonder. Mantis identified this suit as a total biospheric bodysuit. He has superhuman durability, and he does have Captain America's shield. During the time when he carried Captain America's shield in combat, he would use his power to propel the shield and manipulate its flight path, simulating the captain's use of the shield as a throwing weapon. Transportation passport armbands allowing him to use Nowhere's teleporters. Birthday was said to be July 3rd, 1962. Strong possibility that most of all the appearances attributed to Van Astro Earth that were published after Guardian 62 do not actually feature the Astro from Earth 691, but are some alternate timeline versions of him. There's trivia for him. If Jim Valentino had been allowed to keep writing the Guardians after helping form Image Comics, he would have killed off Vance in issue number 50. Ooh, okay. That's cool. All right, so that is Major Victory. And we are now going to go and look at Kraglin. You all know who Kraglin is from the Guardians movies. He has, of course, his own Wikipedia for the movie character. Kraglin, Earth 616. Kraglin was part of an attempted invasion of Earth by the Chiltarians. They were defeated by the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Many years later, he joined Yondu's Ravager's crew, but was later found dead along with the rest of the crew by Yondu at coordinates aboard a ship where a deal involving the Herald's Urn was supposed to take place. Affiliations and relationships. He's, of course, affiliated with the Ravagers. He is male. Eyeballs are orange. Irises are not visible. Hair is purple and gray. Unusual features. Purple-gray fur on all his body. Multifaceted eyes. He is origin is a Chiltarian. Resides in 616. No dual identity. He's a space pirate. Base of operations is mobile aboard a starship. Creators were Stan Lee, Ernest Hart, and Don Heck. First appearance, Tales to Astonish, number 46, back in 1963. And his death was in Yondu number 1, November of 2019. So he's dead in the comics. Some trivia here. Of course, paraphernalia. He has a Cyclops robot and transportation charlatan ships. His multifaceted eyes enable him to see in various directions simultaneously. We do trivia. For his return in 2017, Kraglin was redesigned to resemble a mix between his original appearance and that of his counterpart in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Although Kraglin originally had 4 fingers, like all charlatans, he's been a Chiltarian, sorry. He's been recently depicted as having 5-fingered hands. And that's really it for the not much on him from the comic side of it. But if we go to the cinematic side, of course, he had a pretty big role in most of the Guardians films. And he even has a quote here, "That ain't right. I just got to say this one time, Captain. No matter how many times Quill betrays you, you protect him like none of the rest of us much matter." Captain. Kraglin's a former Ravager who served as first mate in the Yondu Ravager clan. He remained loyal to Yondu during the hunt for Star-Lord in 2014 and joined Udanta and the Guardians of the Galaxy fighting Ronan in the Battle of Xandar. However, when Udanta continued to protect Star-Lord, he inadvertently started a mutiny led by Taserface. Regretting his actions and how his friends had been killed, he helped both Udanta and Rocket escape before assisting in the battle against Ego and helping out the Guardians of the Galaxy in the wake of Udanta's death during the battle. I like his character in the movies. And, of course, he's played by... Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother. So that's kind of cool. So obviously he's more, I think, well known in the movies than he is in the comics. So we'll see what we can find out. But we're going to go there now. We're going to go to the Marvel Unlimited app. And we're, of course, going to look at what's new this week in a second. But first, we're going to look up both of these characters. So we're going to see what we got here. We'll look up Major Victory first and see what they got. And I'm sure they'll have some stuff where you can go and read about the characters if you want to. And again, like I said, always support your local comic book stores. But of course, some of these would be probably pretty expensive if they're out there. And now he doesn't have his own section or anything like that. Major Victory doesn't. So, yeah, the Korvac saga from 2015. So not a ton out there with him. Not a ton. You have to go back to, obviously, the first appearance book and all that kind of stuff, which, I'm sure you could find in the app because they go back to those early 50s and 60s books. But not a whole lot other than that. And so let's look up Kraglin. Of course, he's going to be in all the Guardians titles, I'm sure. Oh, wow. No results. That's the first time I've had that happen in the app. No results for just Kraglin. Wow, that's crazy. Would have thought that, but yeah, he's kind of a side character and more, like I said, more popular in the film. So no, again, you'd have to look up the old books if you wanted to see more about him. He's more popular in the film than he really is in the comics. So wow, so there you go. Not really too much from on either one of those characters when it comes to the comics. All right, Marvel Unlimited app. Let's go to what's new. What's new this week? We have Symbi, which is, like I told you, that little symbiote from the Spider-Man comics that they've adapted. It's kind of like a kid's book, I would say. But yeah, cute little book nevertheless. Issue number 4 that's up to already. Marvel Rivals Infinity comic is up to issue number 42. That's exclusive. Both of those are exclusive to the app. Miles Morales, Spider-Man Brooklyn's Finest is at number 6. Fantastic Four, Black Cat has a little guest appearance in there, number 5. Eddie Brock's Carnage is up to issue number 10. Star Wars, I read this one, up to issue number 7. X-Men Tales from the Age of Apocalypse, issue number 1, so that's a new one. Predator Badlands has a comic, issue number 1. So for those of you that watch it, I have to watch that movie. I know it's out now. I should really sit down and watch that because I've heard a lot of good things about it. People said it's really good, so I should really give that a watch. I've liked the other Predator films, except the Alien versus Predator. Those I didn't care for. But the first one, the original, of course, is a classic with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the second one, even with Danny Glover, I enjoyed that one. So I'm sure I'll probably like Badlands. But the book is out. Spider-Man Noir has his own comic up to issue number 2. I've been reading that. I read issue number 1. Of course, with the Amazon series coming soon, and I'm excited for. Sinister's 6 up to issue number 2. Strange Tales up to issue number 2. The Green Goblin is in that one with Doctor Strange, it looks like. New Avengers 2025 issue number 6. Venom is up to issue number 251. 1776 is up to issue number... 1776, that's new. That's issue number 1. Marvel Knights: The World to Come is up to issue number 4. Spider-Man Torn, very good. Very good. That's one of those newer Spider-Man books that just comes out, and it takes place when Peter is still in college. And he's kind of just like, he's seeing Mary Jane, but he's also, Harry is with Gwen Stacey at the time, so there's that stuff going on in the background. And but that's been really, really good so far. The X-Men Infinity comic up to issue number 6. Red Hulk up to issue number 10. Iron and Frost up to issue number 2. Spider-Man and Wolverine, issue number 7. Han Solo, I didn't know this one was out. This is a special series devoted to him. And this is how he gets back the Millennium Falcon. Because, of course, we know, if you've seen the one with, the newest trilogy, not Rise of Skywalker, but, oh my God, the first one in the series. How can I not remember? But anyway, if you've seen that, you know that Han's ship was on Jakku. and it was captured by, it was owned by the Unkar Plut guy. And this is the story. It tells you how he goes back and gets it. So it's kind of been good so far. It's up to issue number 3. Spider-Girl is up to issue number 6. Marvel Black, White, and Blood and Guts is issue number 2. Spider-Man 94. Now, this is from the cartoon. So this is from the animated series. So this is continuing the story of the animated series, which some people said that they wanted them to do. Now that they did the 94, the X-Men 94, and they showed Mary Jane in that, because they left that up in the air. But this book actually continues it. So that's cool. So if you're into that, that's up to issue number 3. Rogue Storm, which of course is exactly what it is. It's Rogue and Storm. Up to issue number 2. Ultimate Wolverine up to issue number 11. And Ultimate Black Panther up to issue number 22. And they are quickly coming to an end. All right. So that is it for the Comics Corner. Like I said, if you too want to get these comics at home and you want to check them out, $9.99 a month for the Marvel Unlimited app. So go and check that out. If you don't have access to a comic book store or any bookstores that are near you where you can go and pick up like the comics themselves or the graphic novels, Marvel Unlimited is a great way to go. All right, guys, next up is the MCU Minute. News in the MCU, as there has been lately, and one of the things that a lot of people are talking about is obviously Spider-Man and things like that. Well, we have a synopsis of the movie and of what Spider-Man is going to be. And again, if you don't want to hear it, not really much in the way. It's very vague. But there's one really big point in this that people have brought up. So again, this is from the book. That's going to come out, the making of the movie and all that kind of stuff book that's going to come out after the movie is released. But this is the synopsis, and what it says. It says, 4 years have gone by since we last caught up with our friendly neighborhood hero. Peter Parker is no more, but Spider-Man is at the top of his game, keeping New York City safe. Things are going well for our anonymous hero until an unusual trail of crimes pulls him into a web of mystery larger than he's ever faced before. In order to take on what's ahead, Spider-Man not only needs to be at the top of his physical and mental game, but he must also be prepared to face the repercussions of his past. So that's the synopsis. Again, very vague. The biggest thing out of this that you can take from it is 4-year time jump. There is a 4-year time jump from Doctor Strange, the one where Peter was with Doctor Strange and had all the old villains come back in the last movie, until now. So that does explain a lot of the other rumors that, like, there is a rumor that that Peter is now somehow is in the same apartment complex or whatever, living quarters, whatever, and he's next door to MJ. Like, MJ is basically living next door to him. This explains a lot of that, right? Because now MJ would be out of college, right? 4 years go by, now maybe she's studying for her graduate or whatever like that, but she would be out of school. And because when we left them, they were all just accepted to MIT. They were going to go to college. His friend Ned as well would both be out of college at this point, or, very close to it. So that would make sense there. And so we're getting a 4-year time jump. So that's kind of cool. I guess it's gonna, and how they're saying Peter Parker's no more. Well, that comes right from the comic books. There's a comic book that says Spider-Man no more. Well, this is Peter Parker is no more. And we all know that, at the end of the last film, when he was web slinging around at the end there and he moved into his own little apartment, he was saying hints about that, where he was going to be Spider-Man, because no one knows who Peter Parker is. Because of Doctor Strange's spell and stuff like that. So it does make a lot of sense. So now we know that we're getting a 4-year time jump when Spider-Man is released. So that's kind of cool. There's also, take this with a grain of salt as you would a lot of things, but this is a possible another character that might be in the next Spider-Man as well. And this is an alleged image of Kiernan Shipka as Gwen Stacey leaks online. Now, again, this could be complete fan stuff. This could be absolutely false, but so take this stuff with a grain of salt. People are going to put this kind of thing all over the place. But the one thing that would make some sense here is they did say that, that maybe, he does have another, and Gwen could lead to Spider-Gwen if they want to do that in live action at some point. Or she could just be another love interest for Peter, because obviously it's just kind of backwards in a way. He was with Gwen first, and of course Gwen dies tragically, and then he's with MJ. So now it could just be different. They might just be reversing stuff where, he's not with MJ anymore because she forgets who he is, and now he could be with Gwen Stacey. So that would kind of just make some sense. Apparently, if this is true, they're also saying that Harry Osborn would be introduced in the movie as well, possibly as MJ's new boyfriend, which is exciting. Bringing the Osborns back and stuff like that. I'd love to see who they're going to get to play Norman. He's too big of a character, too important of a character to not bring him back in some way. I know people say, we had Green Goblin so much. Well, yeah, we did, but he's one of Spider-Man's, if not his biggest arch enemy. So you can't really go forward without having him involved in any way. So, this is that book that I was talking to you about that gave the synopsis. Proud to present the latest volume in its acclaimed Art of the Movie series as Spider-Man swings back into the silver screen. So that's what the book is called, the Art of the Movie series. And then I think this is the same thing here. Discover the behind-the-scenes magic of the film's visual development. From early concept sketches to final chapter designs, explore environments, costumes, and exclusive rights from the next chapter from Marvel's neighborhood hero. So, and then there's this from Screen Rant. Kevin Feige teases a Spider-Man and Fantastic Four film crossover. And the quote here is, that's one of the key relationships in Marvel Comics is Johnny Storm and Peter Parker. And we've never been able to come close to it before, and now it's in the realm of possibility. That's exciting. That gets me up in the morning, says Kevin Feige. Again, very vague statement. We don't know when that's going to... But I would assume, look, Tom Holland signed on for at least 2 more films. And you'd have to imagine... Now, he's not in Doomsday, but you'd have to believe he could be maybe in the post-credit scene. And he's definitely going to be in Secret Wars, so that's one. And then he's got another one. So I would imagine they're going to have him signed on for at least maybe 3 more films after that. So crossing over with the Fantastic Four would just be... That's something that happened in Spidey's past. It was one of the first Spider-Man books that he did. So that I'm sure we will see in the MCU. It would be a very big missed opportunity if they didn't do that. So I'm sure that they will end up doing that. We also had some news from Daredevil, and that's mostly like with where the series is going. And apparently now the series is going to finish the Kingpin arc in this coming series, and then the next one will not be about the Kingpin. So they are going to they're going to finish this out, and then apparently it's going to go. Now some are I think it's hope more than speculation, but some are kind of hoping that Spider-Man could end up in that big battle at some point with Kingpin, which would, again, it would just make sense. Fans wanted it. My God, the Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays Kingpin, he's wanted it. He's asked for that. So now that Sony's playing nice with Marvel, and they're allowing Marvel to use more of their property and more villains, they came out and made a statement that says that we're on board with Marvel using more of Spider-Man's villains and all that kind of stuff. And now that that's true, maybe they could kind of combine a little bit again and have that happen. Because can you imagine, like, at the end of that season and the big fight with Kingpin, and maybe it's Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and then can you imagine if Spider-Man joined the fray? I mean, that'd be amazing. And we already know that the Hand, so the ninja group is going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. So that could be crossing over from that a little bit as well. So, I mean, it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense to have Spidey cross over with Daredevil stuff. So that would be awesome if they did that. Let's see what else is going on here. This one says it's the end of an era for Hulk in the MCU's from the direct. Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner has already been spotted on set photos being taken to the hospital. The version of Hulk will reportedly be different, marking an end of the era for the Hulk we've come to know. They've shown merchandise has shown the Hulk, and he is definitely Savage Hulk. He is not the smart Hulk that we've seen in a bunch of the movies, which I think a lot of people are going to be happy about that. Apparently Daniel Radcliffe was being rumored to be playing Wolverine, and he shut down the rumors for that. Daniel Radcliffe did. This is from Inside the Magic. Tom Holland, Peter Parker, no longer part of Disney MCU. What is this? Marvel and Sony Pictures have quietly confirmed that Peter Parker is no more, but how did we get here? Is this going to just be... See, that's why you got to watch. You really have to watch what you read. Because some of this stuff is a play on words. And if they're saying he's no more... Yeah, see, they're saying that because he's not in Doomsday, but not expected to appear in Doomsday, which will mark the first time since Holland took over the role that he sat out an Avengers-level event. But that has nothing to do with... Yeah, that has nothing to do with that. Now, see, this is saying from comicbook.com that Daredevil Born Again officially won't have other MCU cameos, and here's why. So let's see what this says. Excitement about the return of Kingpin and the Punisher, Jessica Jones showing up, but it won't have any more MCU characters popping up. So the series will remain self-contained moving forward and won't cross over with the MCU, while Punisher is in Spider-Man Brand New World. And Daredevils represent Peter and Peter Parker in Spider-Man No Way Home. These crossovers aren't going to happen on the actual Daredevil series. Other characters that are going to be popping up in movies and stuff, and all that goes into the larger MCU of it all. I always think that maybe these characters take a little vacations into the larger world, but the story that we're focusing on is really granular. Yeah, I don't know. They wouldn't give something big like that away. I mean, it could be true, but I don't think they would give something like that away necessarily if that's something that's gonna happen. So these are all the films coming up in Marvel. Spider-Man, of course, Brand New Day. Release date July 31st. Then, of course, we have Doomsday releasing on December 18th. We have Secret Wars releasing December 17th of 2027. Black Panther 3 release date is 2028, which is speculated. We don't know that exactly. An untitled X-Men film, which is releasing in 2028, speculated. Actually, there's been more speculation going around that, saying that could start filming as of the end of this year. So the end of this year, they could start. So obviously, they're going to be casting, but that could be filming at the end of this year. Blade is still listed as unknown, but we've heard about that. That's probably going to be in Marvel Knights. And then the other one that I talked about in the notes here was a reappearance by a character from Agatha All Along, and that character is Death. Apparently, and that's why I remembered it because of Blade, because the Marvel Knights movie that they're working on, which apparently is going to have Blade in it. And also a bunch of others. Moon Knight, maybe Man-Thing, Ghost Rider, stuff like that. Apparently Death is coming back for that film. So that's awesome. I loved her portrayal of Death in Agatha, and I think that would be it would be great to see her come back again. So I think that would be really, really cool. But yeah, that's about it. I would think that's about it for the MCU. So right now we're going to go to Pixel Perspective. And we're going to look at a game that I saw a creator playing called Reanimal. This is really cool. And again, it is a horror game, but it's very different. It's almost kind of like top down a little bit because the characters are very tiny. They're almost like sprite type characters, but it is from the same company that has done the game called Little Nightmares. Developers, it's Tarsier Studios, original creators of Little Nightmares. So if you play Little Nightmares, this would probably be for you, but this is really a sick game, man. The graphics are incredible. Very short, though. I will warn against that. It is a very short game. Co-op horror adventure game from Tarsier Studios, the creators of Little Nightmares, released in January 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X or S, and Switch 2 and PC. Players control a brother and sister on a terrifying island, solving puzzles and using stealth to escape grotesque monsters and uncover a dark secret. With gameplay supporting single-player, local, and online co-op, it's known for its atmospheric exploration, unique art style, and focus on tension and hope in a dark world. Co-op horror adventure, puzzles, stealth, cinematic platform. You do have to hide in certain places and stuff. THQ Nordic is the publisher. Work together as siblings to explore a haunted island, solve environmental puzzles, and escape mutated creatures. And yeah, it was really, really good. And again, I was watching. Oh my gosh, I've mentioned him a couple times. It was, but it was very good. It's definitely worth looking into if you're into those kind of games. Jacksepticeye is the one who played it through. It is kind of short though, so like I said, I think there's a demo of it right now in the PlayStation Store where you could play the demo. But just buyer beware. It is only 3 hours long. If you pay to get the game, I think it's around $40. So it's a lot for just a game that's going to take you 3 hours. And if you do it in one sitting, which a lot of people sometimes will do, then that's kind of the end of it. So, but I'll tell you, it was one of the coolest looking games that I've seen in a while, and yeah, it looks incredible for the type of game that it is. But yeah, very, very cool looking and very interesting game. And then I had another one here. Oh yeah, it's Marvel, of course, Marvel Tokon. Marvel Tokon, which is, now this is not me per se. I'm not a fighting game guy. Never really was. I never got into the Mortal Kombat stuff. I never got into all those things. But a lot of people like it. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is an upcoming 4v4 tag team fighting game from Arc System Works, releasing on August 6th. So it's a little bit later on in the year for PS5 and PC. So only PS5 and PC. Anime-inspired art style, 20 launch characters, and an episodic mode that blends comic and manga storytelling. Fast-paced action with a roster that includes reimagined Marvel heroes like the Unbreakable X-Men, Wolverine, Storm, Magic, and Danger. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You have different characters in this that we haven't really seen in games before. Magic looks awesome with her sword and stuff. And Danger. Yeah, I mean, we know Danger from Snap, but Danger's in the game. Pre-orders for the game, which will have standard, digital deluxe, and ultimate editions, began on February 19th, so you can already pre-order. You have episode mode and story mode. $60 for the standard edition. Games are getting quite expensive. But you can go to the website. Marvel's website has it. Fighting Souls. It has the trailer. You can see that on YouTube. Just trying to see if they have anybody else listed. All characters. You could see some of them. So Captain America, Ms. Marvel, I see Doctor Doom and Star-Lord. And of course Iron Man. Ghost Rider looks awesome. Oh, that looks like the other version of Ghost Rider, the one that drives the car, actually. Storm, of course, and Spider-Man. The graphics look pretty hot. I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm sure a lot of people get it. I know a lot, and the environments look cool. A lot of people are really, really into these fighting games, so I'm sure there will be a big audience for this. Looks like Human Torch might be in it too, because is that? No, that's Doom. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's Doom's attack. It's like a big flame attack. But yeah, so that's coming out later this year in August. So Marvel fans, if you enjoy your fighting games, you do have that. You also have Wolverine that's coming out later this year as well. So lots of stuff going on in the video game world as usual. And just wanted to talk about two of those and just spotlight the two of those games. So, all right. Well, I am, like I said, at the end of the show, I was saving for questions from listeners, comments, and stuff like that. I did use a lot of the stuff for the cards, the worst cards. A lot of the comments and stuff were done for that, which is fine. Just a couple little things I posted. Bill Sienkiewicz, there's a Superman Spider-Man comic book coming out for the first time since the one that I loved, that I had when I was a kid. And Bill Sienkiewicz, I shared this on my Twitter. He made a variant cover for the Superman Spider-Man crossover. Bill Sienkiewicz is an amazing artist. And it's a very, very cool thing. I have it posted at Superman and Spider-Man kind of on a web below Superman who's flying. Very cool. This is just some film news. Dario Scartapane says season 3 of Daredevil Born Again will take a new direction. I said this, leaving the Mayor Fisk story behind. What we're doing going forward feels more like a return to the Frank Miller era comics. So yeah, it was fun to play in the realm of politics, but I like something a little more street level personally. The Venom animated movie is reportedly still airing or aiming for an R rating. There's going to be a Venom animated series that actually Tom Hardy is going to do the voice of Venom in it. And looking to be rated R. So that's kind of crazy. Even violence, I guess. They have Dr. Doom Oreos, by the way. The stuff we didn't know we need, but we needed. Hitting March 2nd. So you're going to be able to get green Oreos. Dr. Doom Oreos. So, well, yeah, so that's about it. Like I said, I got most of the comments and stuff from you guys. Oh, and I got the perfect title for me, by the way. Just a quick side note before we get out of here. You know how you're always like switching up titles and all that stuff? I mean, there's so many titles, right? There's so many titles. And I could never decide on a good one. Like there's a Galactus related one, but this one was made for me. And I even said, I'll never need another title. Thanks, second dinner. Perfect. Galactic Disc Jockey. I mean, come on, it's almost Galactus anyway. Galactic Disc Jockey, like let's say, Lauren Whatever's responded and said, like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much perfect. So that will be, so dang, that's perfect for you. That is now my title. I will never change it. That's my title in Snap now going forward. So, alrighty, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you all for listening, wherever you may be listening from. Whether that be Spotify or Apple or whatever the case might be. I still am working on having guests. Burb is coming up. Prashan is coming up. I guarantee you that. I know it's just taken a while, but there's things going on. We're getting another huge snowstorm, by the way. I didn't do the weather report, but yeah, we're getting another huge snowstorm, bringing us maybe between 4 and 7 inches. The East Coast is getting slammed with a nor'easter. Like places closer to the coast, Long Island, New York City, are just getting hammered. Blizzard warnings and all that kind of stuff. So this has just been a nasty winter that just doesn't want to stop. But anyway, hope wherever you are, things are going very well for you. Again, I am part of the Snap Judgments network of podcasts with podcasts that are awesome, such as Snap Judgments, of course, Glazer, my good friend Glazer, great guy. Shouted me out about the draft post that I put up and stuff like that, which he doesn't have to do that, but he's awesome. So go check him out. He's always doing giveaways and stuff during his shows. He talks about decks to play and all that good stuff. So go check out his show. Check out his stream as well, especially when they're starting to do Twitch drops again. If you don't have a streamer that you're kind of dedicated to watching, I know a lot of you are. now with Cam Best and, of course, Binks and everybody else. But if you don't have any, and if you don't watch them, maybe you're just going to start picking them up, go check out Glazer. He does stream the game. And then, of course, Snap on This with Lauren Whatevs, Benjamin Roller, and It's Just Re. That is out every single Friday. They do a lot of very, very cool stuff on there. They talk about the cards. They talk about the releases. They talk about data mines. They talk about all that good stuff. And, of course, they'll do their secret homework and talk about other games that are coming out and they're interested in and all that kind of stuff. Re talks about comics as well. So go check that out. That comes out every single Friday. And that, guys, is going to do it for me this week. Have a great rest of your week. Be safe, be kind to one another always, and hopefully I will talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ signing off.